Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about John Krasinski's new movie that's out in theaters right now called If. I thought that this movie is very whimsical and fun. I had a really good time with it, and I definitely would recommend checking it out. But that being said, we're going to dive into this full review now.
Modern Movie Review.
Okay, so unlike the majority of my videos, I will typically issue a spoiler warning at the beginning of this video. I'm not going to get into anything that could potentially be spoiler territory. I'm just going to talk about the movie in whole. I'm going to talk about it in a way that's vague, that if you haven't seen the movie, it's not going to ruin anything. So, if you haven't seen this movie, congratulations, you can continue watching this video. That's new for me. But that being said, like I said, we're gonna dive right into this. So, overall, I thought that this movie was pretty good. I had very high expectations for this movie, and I think that for the most part, it kind of like hit right on bar with the expectations that I had set for this movie. I thought that it was kind of going to feel like a live action Pixar movie, and for the most part, I think that there are definitely a lot of elements that definitely feel similar to that. Okay, sorry about that awkward cut. My dogs were barking, and I don't have a high-quality microphone, so I wanted to make sure that they calm down. But like I said, this movie definitely had a lot of elements that reminded me of Pixar movies. I think that it does a really interesting job with the young main character having kind of a coming-of-age story, and also giving the older characters in the story a lot of interesting things to do as well, because I think that that's something Pixar has always done incredibly well, is in movies like Inside Out, even though the movie is primarily about Riley and she's a very young character and it's her coming of age and she's going through different emotional things that she's not used to, we also get to see some of the parents have some growth as well, and I think that this movie does that as well. Our main character, Elizabeth, she also gets nicknamed B, is going through a very fun journey where she's young and she's visiting New York City, and the reason why she's visiting isn't necessarily a very good reason to be, visiting a city, but that being said, she still goes out and she tries to make the best out of every situation she has. She goes on fun little adventures. She makes a friend at the little hospital. And I think that it's very interesting that this character is able to go through so much adventure and have a really good time. And I really like the fact that she has a great coming of age story and she gets to go out and like experience the world from the eyes of a child. And they do such an interesting job showcasing like all the wonder and all the imagination that this kid has, because they go to places like the old theme park where she used to go when she was younger, and she basically reimagines it as if the carnival is still going and there are people going out and having a really great time. And I think that it's so fun to kind of see stuff where it's like, it's really sad because it's closed down and people aren't really going to it anymore, but from the eyes of this child, it still holds so much magic, and that was really well done in this movie. I thought that was fantastic. I loved the main character. I think that she is so fun. She has a lot of really great funny moments. Her and Ryan Reynolds worked really well together on screen. There were definitely a lot of moments where they shared that were surprisingly emotional, but also just incredibly funny. I think that overall, the story here that they have with these imaginary friends reconnecting with some of their old friends, because that was something that I thought was interesting, and I'm gonna dive into that in a little bit. But the story of them just going around New York and kind of like meeting new people and trying to figure out, if they could reconnect them with their old imaginary friends and how they can potentially do that is fantastic. And I really, really loved all of that, and I thought that that was fun. And I think that the way that they flipped the script a little bit and they kind of changed it from being what we all expected to be in the trailers. All the trailers kind of have made it seem like this movie was going to be them finding new kids for these imaginary friends, but instead it's helping the older people reunite with their imaginary friends, because once you get to a certain point, you will get to a point where you don't need your imaginary friends anymore, and you'll be able to grow up and live your life without them. And they get to a point where they've explained where it's like, kids will always need their imaginary friends. Even when they grow up and they become adults, their imaginary friends should always be there for them, and they should always be able to reach out to their imaginary friends. And I like the fact that instead of it being, okay, well, we're trying to get these old imaginary friends to just random children, they're actually going around and helping them reunite with their old friends now that they're adults. And that is such an interesting story premise, and I really, really like that. And I like the fact that they didn't reveal that in the trailers, because whenever it starts happening in the movies, it's very sweet and wholesome, and we get to experience moments like there's one shot in the trailer where we kind of see one of them where the character that Steve Carell is playing, his name is Blue, the big giant fluffy purple one, he reunites with his child, and there are moments that they share together are really great, and he gives him that boot of confidence that he really needs. And it just looks nice kind of having that like emotional support imaginary friend, and having somebody there who can just kind of like give you comfort in times when you really need it. And they do a really good job with that. And I like the fact that the way that they reconnect with each other is by kind of helping the main person, like the actual person who's a human and not an imaginary friend, have some memories that remind them of their childhood and would kind of like take them back in time to when they were younger so that they could actually see their imaginary friends and interact with their imaginary friends again. And I loved that. That was fantastic. There were a lot of emotional sequences. The grandmother in this story, absolutely fantastic. They make a lot of jokes with her like not really doing a great job of taking care of kids, and every time she like is watching B and she's like making food and stuff like that, and she's just constantly like messing it up, it's so entertaining and so like real. Because like I remember every once in a while I would like go and visit my grandmother, and my grandma, I love her to death, but like sometimes she would like make mistakes and stuff like that, and I was just like, it was funny, and I really thought that I really liked that. I thought that was really charming. Sorry, I just stuttered so hard. But I loved everything that they did with her, trying to be like a caretaker and trying to, you know, make her life a little bit better, and then also helping her realize that, you know, just because she's older now doesn't mean she has to give up her dreams and some of the stuff that she did when she was younger. And the way that she is one of the first characters who they reconnect with their imaginary friends was so heartfelt. She has a nice monologue where she's talking about back when she was younger and she used to be a dancer and how she can't dance anymore because she's old. And then we have a scene where she does her ballet act and she does her little dance, and oh my god, that scene got me. I'm not gonna lie, I cried. That was really emotional. I really liked that. But that was fantastic. I really liked that. And overall, I just thought that this movie had so many moments like that were fantastic. And the humor was so good. One of my favorite scenes, probably in the entire movie, is the montage where they're going through all the different imaginary friends, and they're trying to like jot stuff down and figure out, you know, things about the imaginary friends. And they kind of do like an audition process, and it kind of reminds me of like the audition scene from Pitch Perfect, which is like one of my biggest comfort movies ever. And it's so entertaining just like watching the imaginary friends like talk about their past and their childhood and talk about all these different random things. And there's a lot of great quick little jokes that they throw into there. One of my favorite ones is they're trying to figure out like, you know, where everybody's from, like talking to the imaginary friends, and there's one that's kind of like a weird like robot thing, and it's just like, well, mostly Radio Shack. That one made me laugh out loud so hard. I was not ready for that. And there's just a lot of great one-liners and stuff like that in this movie. John Krasinski's character, also really funny. He has a moment towards the end of the film which was great. And speaking of the end of the film, the last like 20 minutes of this film are so emotional, so well thought out, incredibly well written. There's a really interesting plot twist that I didn't see coming. I did watch this movie with my sister, and she was like, well, yeah, actually, if you look back at certain scenes, like, this kind of makes sense. But there was a plot twist that really got me, that I thought was awesome. And overall, I just thought that this movie was really, really good. So, to give this movie kind of a final rating, I'm going to go ahead and say this. I thought it was great. I think it was one of the best movies I've seen in a really long time. And on top of that, when it comes to rated PG movies right now, we're in a weird age where a lot of PG movies feel like really dumbed down. Like, if you're not a child and you're going to watch these PG movies, it really feels like you're missing a lot of stuff with it. And it really has been killing me, because like for a lot of movies that I've watched recently that are kind of like kids movies, I keep on having to say, well, it's good for a kids movie. But this one, it's good just as a movie in general, which is so refreshing. I really enjoyed it. I'm gonna give it a solid 83 out of 100. That being said, I definitely would recommend it potentially if you guys are looking to go see a movie with your family. This is probably like the perfect movie to go watch. Like I said, it's really whimsical. A lot of the humor works incredibly well for me, and I think that they do such a great job with like the score and the imagination side of things. It's a whole lot of fun. But yeah, that being said, that was it for this video, guys. Thank you guys so much for coming by and checking it out. I love and appreciate you guys so much for watching, and if you liked it, feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll hopefully see you guys in the next one. Peace out. Bow. Bow, bow.
Back at it again, but that's a relevant flow. So smooth, they calling me Mr. Elegant. Like an elephant, I got a long nose. Like a president, I've got a few hoes. Swift with a stutter, I'm smooth like butter. Don't see it coming when I slip undercover. Like a big dog, but I don't bite. I'm still a big broad, I'd win that fight. Come match you and I knock out your lights.